Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Chelsea Story Nook Podcast, a podcast where we dive deep into the enchanting world of the children's literature. I'm your host, Chelsea Chong Kim, and today we have a wonderful guest joining to share their journey and insights into their latest book. I'm delighted to welcome our children's book author, Catina K. Taylor, the author of the book Kylah Meets the Bee to Chelsea Story Nook Podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Katina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's just an honor and a privilege to be with you. So I'm really
Oh my
excited to have this
God.
conversation.
Guys, you don't know how much I feel so honored to have this guest. Katina herself came to my podcast, guys. I'm super honored. I'm going to just dive right in. Can you introduce our listeners about yourself?
So my name is Katina. As you said, I am the founder and executive director of Dreams KC and author of Kylah Meets the Bees. I am a native Midwestern resident. I live right here in Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Kansas City Royals and the
Woo!
Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champions and World Series champions, all the things. I have one son who is now 33. I can't believe it. And four grandchildren, two boys and two girls. So I am a grandma, I am a mom, I am a Midwesterner, I am an educator, and I could say formally, because I spent 15 years in the classroom, but I've been an education professional for 24 years. Yes.
Respecting that part. Wow. Amazing. Oh
Yes,
my
and I
goodness.
taught middle school, I've taught first grade, I've taught high school, I've taught in private schools, charter schools, district schools. I have found my purpose and passion in life, and I absolutely eat, sleep, and breathe literacy.
Oh my goodness. Yes, like we gotta talk up after this podcast recording more about the education realm because I relate all of that. I experienced all of that. Wow, I have so many things to talk about. We'll talk about
Okay.
after this podcast recording. So awesome. So let's talk about your book. Your amazing
Yes.
book. Could you give us a brief overview, introduce the main characters, the core theme and messages you want the readers to take away?
Absolutely. So Kyla Meets the Bees is a decodable book, which is very
Amazing.
different from a traditional storybook
Yes.
because it allows children to read the book themselves and practice very specific phonics skills. So, very excited about that piece of it, first and foremost. But it really is a story about overcoming fears. How many of us have been afraid of bees? I know I was. As a
Oh,
little
yep.
girl, I got stung in the tongue by a bee. And so for many
How?
years, I was talking like I always do,
Oh my gosh.
and it flew right in my mouth. And when I closed my mouth, boop, it stung me right in the tongue. So thank God I wasn't allergic to them. But most young people, most adults are afraid of bees. And
Mhm.
it wasn't until I started teaching first grade that I learned about the benefits of bees in our society, for the environment, the fact that they produce honey that is really good for us, and got over that fear that I learned that if I didn't bother them, they generally didn't bother
Mhm.
me. And I wanted to share with children not just about bees in and of themselves, but fear in general. If we don't know,
Wow.
if it's an unknown, we're generally afraid. But once we
Yeah.
know something, once we have the knowledge, then we can get over our fears. And so that's what I want for my grandchildren, children of the world, really, is that you don't have to fear the unknown. You just have to get to know, get the information, the knowledge, and you can get over that hump. And the main character is Kyla, and she is patterned after my granddaughter, Kyla, and who up until recently told me her favorite color was purple, as you'll see reflected on the cover of the book. She has since changed her mind and said her favorite color is pink.
Here we go. We have to
So,
create a rainbow now.
right? Yes. So it is just an amazing story in and of itself. Children learn, like I said, to get over their fears. They also learn how helpful bees are to us, how they communicate, what they like to eat, how they live and work and communicate within the hive, all of those things. So it covers literacy, it covers science, it covers environment. It is just a really well-rounded book. I believe that children will enjoy. And so I was happy to put it out in the universe.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's a really
Not
powerful
a
message.
problem. I think we have to learn
Wow.
to live with nature, not attempt to
Mm,
control it. It is it is everything in nature is meant for our good, and we just
mhm.
have to learn how to coexist with it. And so whether that's light or darkness, whether that's bees or bears, right? Whatever it
Yes,
may be, how do we
yes.
learn to coexist in the world with the things that have been placed here for us? It's the whole cycle of life. Foreign languages, I respect home language. All of us know that there's a formal way to speak and an informal way to speak. The way in which we talk in the workplace and the way we talk at home when we're relaxed or when we're texting, right?
Mm.
And even in this book, I was very intentional to incorporate what has been termed African American English. And basically that is the language that we speak when we are comfortable amongst our family and our friends, because I didn't want children to have to work so hard at figuring out that formal language. I wanted them to spend their time relating to the character and the
Oh.
story and really hearing themselves and seeing themselves through the characters and the story that's presented in the book. I think it's so important to do that. And so, I love the fact that you said, I don't want to have misunderstanding or miscommunication. And
Yes.
that's true. But I would still say, honor who you are and all that you bring
Oh.
to the table as a Korean American woman.
What inspired you to write this certain book, and what was the main idea that motivated your drive to write this book?
Yeah, I think it was a series of events that kind of came together. So I
Mm.
always knew that eventually I would want to write children's books, specifically decodable books. Then I have these, at the time, three grandchildren. The new one just arrived in the last couple of days.
Nice.
Um, so I had these grandchildren. My oldest grandson said to me he wanted some honeycomb. And I thought he meant cereal.
Oh,
And I went
I
to the
thought
store
so
and
too.
got him some cereal. And he goes, Grandma, like what? And what I realized once
So
I figured
funny.
out he meant real honeycomb, that got my wheels to turning. So I knew I wanted to base one of the characters off one of my grandkids.
Mhm.
I then had this whole notion about honeycomb and bees and an urban apiary, which is literally about 5 blocks from my home. An urban
Mm.
apiary, who would have thought, that is
Mm.
raising about a 500,000 bees. And then I knew that I wanted the book to also be educational.
Mm.
So all of those things kind of came together to inspire this book. And more importantly, though, I wanted it to be a tool that parents and children can use as they are building those literacy skills so that they become confident and competent readers. So that really was the inspiration. I wanted to make sure that parents and children have what they need as they grow as readers.
Amazing. And could you walk us through how you became an author yourself, like right now, and
Yes.
what
Yeah.
experience your influence your journey?
I will tell you, I started school as a reader. So I always knew how to read, but I never read for pleasure, believe it or not, until I got to college. And so being an educator and doing professional development, reading what I had to read versus what I wanted to read, I think, over time I developed a love of literature. So that's one thing. But then also, again, I knew that most children of color don't have books that represent their experience, their voice, or them just in general, their basic humanity. So I knew that eventually I would want to create something for them. And the opportunity presented itself to take part in a writing challenge. It was a 10-day writing challenge. And I thought I was just going to show up and learn and
Mm.
eventually get to writing the book. And they say, no, no, I want you to produce a book in 10 days. And I go, what?
Oh.
So, like I said,
Nice.
I think it was just a series of things that were just happening all at
Mm.
once. And it really just moved me to act on something that I knew I should do and that I wanted to do, and eventually I would get to. But it pushed me to move a little faster. And I'm so happy that I did. And so that's really that inspiration, that push to get me to complete a project. Because we'll put a project off. We'll go, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, we'll get to it, and we never get to it. And
Mm.
so I am
Ah.
so happy now that I know that I can do it and that it would be high quality. I am excited to do more. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and our listeners right now, I don't know if you guys are watching the video right now. She has a cool background going on, and we want to talk about that. And also, she has a beautiful wardrobe, a blue royal
Oh,
wardrobe. You got to see the
cute.
YouTube video right now and see her wardrobe, her background. She's ready to go. And I want to talk about right there, that logo right there, Dreams Casey. You created a
Oh,
platform. I mean, if you
yes.
can correct my, I did my research for this.
Yes.
So, like, just correct me if I'm wrong, but you would create a platform that empowers parents to teach their children foundational little literacy skills. Can you
Yes. Dreams. Yeah.
share?
Dreams
Yeah, can you
KC
share?
is a
Yeah.
nonprofit.
Mm,
It is, like you said, it is an organization that empowers parents with the tools they need to teach
mm,
children foundational skills, right? Literacy skills.
mm.
Being a teacher for 15 years, one of the
Wow.
things that I saw was we were in a literacy crisis. We are in a
Mm,
literacy crisis. And
mhm,
so many children are struggling to become confident and competent
mm,
readers that they never get to the place where they'll be lovers of literature because they can't attack the text. And what has been happening for many years is that we've told parents, read to your children, read to your children.
mm,
And reading to our children is important, but it doesn't teach children how to read.
yes.
So I took all of my teaching experience and I am still learning and growing in what I was able to accomplish in the classroom because I always had great results teaching and tutoring children. And I said, I want to provide an opportunity for parents to do what I do. They are the first and most important teachers of their children, and they want to know how to help them. So I
Oh,
wanted to
that's great.
ensure that we can hold them, if we're going to hold them accountable and responsible for helping their children, we have to teach them how to help their children.
What a beautiful organization you just created. Wow, that's
You.
amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
that's so inspiring. And since we're talking about young readers and, we're talking about this whole beautiful message you created, if you could offer advice to authors for young readers who are pursuing the same path, but, they may feel scared, finding their own voice, what would you say to them?
Do it scared. That'd be mine.
Oh,
If you have an
okay.
idea, if you have a
Uh-huh.
story, tell the story. Someone out there needs your story. They need to see themselves in your words. And if it's in you, if it's in your heart and your mind to do it, it's there for a reason. That means it's a purpose for you to tell your story and it will resonate with someone. So, just like in the book, it's about getting over your fears. I say to people, do it afraid. And once you do it, you realize that you really didn't have anything to be afraid of anyway. The world is waiting for you to tell your story. So, tell it.
Yes, do it afraid. Everyone,
Yes.
do it afraid and just do it. What
Yes.
a beautiful advice. Thank you so much, Katina.
Mhm.
Wow. So as we near the end, Could you let us in on any upcoming events or future projects that you're so excited about for our listeners to know?
So I will be re-releasing a book that I did before.
Oh.
I didn't know what I was doing at the time, so I just did something. I went to a local printer, but it wasn't made available to the masses. So that's the first thing that I'm super excited about. And that one is going to be built around teaching children their letter sounds. The
Oh.
second project that is coming out is going to be a follow-up to Kylah Meets the Bees. So some children love fictional stories, but
Mhm.
other children love nonfiction. They want to learn more about these fascinating creatures. So it's going to be a nonfiction book about bees as well. And so we'll have those options available. It'll still be decodable, so it'll be easy for children to understand and to grasp the actual text, but it will appeal more to those students that have a love for science and nature in a real way. So it'll be vivid photographs, descriptions, captions, all of those things. So be on the lookout for those next two books to come out. And they can always find us, of course, at Literacy is Liberation. And the reason why I chose that is because I believe, as Frederick Douglass said, that once you learn to read, you will forever be free. So literacy
Mm.
is liberation. And so I will be posting tons of things that are to come. And I'm just so excited to share with the community for sure.
Awesome. And where we can find you on your social media or website?
Yeah, I am on all social media platforms at Literacy is Liberation.
Mm.
And our website is under construction as we speak. So hopefully it will release soon. Before when people see this podcast, it will be up and running. So I invite
Awesome.
parents, teachers, community members, anyone that is interested in growing the literacy of young people to follow me and to tap in and support the work.
Okay, so well, that sounds all exciting for you. And thank you so much, Katina, for joining us and sharing your insights. Truly been a pleasure having you on my podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for having me here. I really, really appreciate it.
It's an honor and thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in to the episode of Chelsea Story Nook Podcast. Don't miss out Catina K. Taylor, the author of the book Kylah Meets the Bees. I'll include all the details in the description below, so be sure to check it out and follow Katina for all her updates on her upcoming events. Until next time, keep reading, keep imagining, and keep believing in the miracle stories. I'm Chelsea Chong Kim signing off. Take care, everyone, and carry it on. Bye. Thank you everyone for joining us on today's episode of Chelsea Story Nook Podcast. Don't forget to order a copy of Carol the Carrot Bowls for the Salad Bowl on Amazon now. Tune in to other authors' podcast interviews for exciting discussions about their latest books and exclusive sneak peeks. Until next time, keep reading, keep imagining, and keep believing in the miracle stories. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button. I'm Chelsea Kim signing off. Take care and carry it on.